Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a Money Date. I am Anna, and I've got an exciting topic for you today. And I want to also welcome my first guest. So let's get into it. We are talking about an umbrella. We're talking about an umbrella from the standpoint of additional liability insurance protection. So thank you so much. Hi, Shannon. Good to have you. I am going to get started here in just a few seconds, and then we're going to bring, Helen. Good to have you. We're going to bring Shannon, and she's going to tell us all about it. But you guys know why we actually, and I hope you do, get together here for Money Dates. Now, Money Dates is something that I came out in terms of wanting to be on the top of my personal finances. Hi, Helen. Good to have you. Now, over a period of time, it transitioned into me not only having discussions with my own partner, right, my husband, but also wanting to share and teach my clients that there's time in our busy days, right, to pause and take a look at how our finances are doing. So, in terms of what do we discuss on the Money Date, we always learn something new, and this is the topic that we're going to discuss today. Now, what I start with is reminding you there are three basic things that all of us have to stay on the top of. The first one is how much expenses did we accumulate over the last week, because we go from week to week. Now, Money Dates are weekly kind of activities. Number two, how much income did we make? Hi, Eleanor, good to have you. All right, because some of us are on variable income, some of us are on a paycheck that you get every 2 weeks, but I bet you don't even realize how much income is coming in into your bank account. And number three, what is our savings goal? You always have to keep your eyes on a target, right? Because if you don't, guess what is going to happen? So I want you to remind you of these three things. They're very easy to track and stay on the top of, okay? But the minute you start actually paying attention, it does not require an enormous amount of time. So don't think that all I do all day is just, check in with all those things. No, it's really easy to do that on my phone. So I remind you and I encourage you to do that. Now, you guys know that I love to share positive, happy, gratitude type of moments with you every week we get together here. I'm going to invite Shannon now, and then we're going to dive into seeing what her money win is, and then she and I are going to have a quick discussion about why we all need to have umbrella liability protection. I think most of you don't even realize that you might be in danger of not having that kind of protection. Now, my theme for the month of April is all kinds of discussions about insurance. Insurance from the standpoint of protecting your valuable possessions, protecting yourself, protecting your home, your car, and everything else. So as we dive into this topic, stay tuned and let me know what questions you would like to address. So let me figure this out, and how do I, let's see, Shannon, where are you? How do I bring you back in? You need to be on your cell phone, okay? So, all right. Should be calling you in just a few seconds. And I hope you guys can hear me well. Thanks everybody hi Vicky, thanks for tuning in. Glad to have you. Eleanor, Shannon, you need to be on your cell phone, hopefully, so I can add you on. All right, while we're getting Shannon connected with us, I wanted to share with you my money win. So we finally rolled out this week. Actually, yesterday was the first official date of our new rebranding for my company. So Main Street Financial Planning. So go to mainstreetplanning.com and check out our new website. But also we have changed our logo, and so a whole lot of different things. So I'm going to show you just a quick business card. I know it's kind of reading backwards, but this is what it looks like. It's pretty slick, right? I hope you like it. So it's just the front of it, and here's the back. So, but it's nice and clean. It's kind of untraditional colors and logo. So I am very excited. That is my money win, because it took a long time to figure it out. It is still taking a long time to implement. So I am extremely excited. Okay, Shannon, I'm trying to add you one more time. So money win is something positive that has happened in your life over the last week. All right, I want you guys to start recognizing that things that you do in your life will always have a connection to your finances, one way or the other. You may not even think about it, but one way or the other, it's going to still end up being there. Okay, so reflect and think about, what is it that you did well? Give yourself a moment to recognize that it's not, it's not all that difficult. I had a bit of a difficult day today, but I got myself together and I'm here, right? I didn't want to miss a money date for anything. So those kinds of things, right? And why? Remember, why are you doing these things? So that when you wake up on those days when it's difficult and you can't figure out whether it's anything to do with your finances, because I know how difficult financial situations can be reflected into the relationships that we're having, into the to the work that we do, and just overall mood. So pause back and give yourself a pat on the back and see what has been well. And so for those of you who are joining, could you please share this out? Let the world know what we're talking about, because I guarantee you that umbrella liability protection is something that everybody has to have. And let them know why, right? Perhaps this is the most valuable lesson you're going to learn here. So I am trying to add Shannon. Shannon, I'm trying to add you here. Try to see if you're getting an invite on your phone. Okay, so, all right. Now, while I'm adding Shannon, I'm going to chat a little bit about the umbrella protection. Now, most of you understand, Shannon, I am getting a decline on your end, and I'm not sure why. So you want to reconnect and join again? I'd love to see if I can add you there. Shannon, drop from the live stream and then connect again, please, because it's giving me a decline message. Okay. All right. While Shannon is reconnecting with us, so why do I even want to talk about this type of protection today? We all understand, and I think that most of you, again, I know that there's some of my friends who are live outside of U.S., so all of this is kind of applicable to the way that U.S. Laws work. But so we all have, okay, Shannon should be on here. Okay, so we all have, or most of us have, cars, right? And some of us own homes, some of us are actually renters. So those basic policies, right, there's lots of different pieces of coverage that exist. The one that I'm focused on today is the actual liability piece. So if you have an automobile policy, there is a piece of the policy that's going to cover you and provide liability protection in case it is something that you've done to cause a damage to another person, okay? Now, the same thing works on the end of the homeowner's policy or renter's policy, right? So there's the protection for the actual home or the structure or personal property, but there's the liability protection. So what happens is that most of us don't even think, right? And I've gotten actually a question today from a client about switching insurance coverages, right? I don't know what the reason is, but the first thing I said, all right, let me look at your liability limits to make sure that you went from one policy, right, or one insurance company, and you got, even though you may have gotten savings in your premium, you've gotten the same coverage. So the liability protection piece on these policies exists. Sometimes it is not enough. And I would tell you, my friends, that most of the times it is actually not enough. So what do we do, right, when we don't have, I'm having a bit of a difficulty connecting with Shannon. So, so what do we do when we don't have enough protection, right? So, and how do you actually determine, right? So those are the kinds of questions I wanted to ask Shannon today. I think I'm knowledgeable enough to qualify. I'm going to still try to add her on here. Shannon, again, you have to be on the cell phone for this to work, not on your computer. So see if that will help us get the connection. All right, so let's use an example of homeowners policy on this side and renters and an automobile on this side. So let's say you have your liability protection shows 500,000. I just want to use round numbers, okay? Now, when I think about liability protection from the standpoint of my client's assets and what they're actually trying to protect, right? I look at their net worth statement and say, all right, do you own more than $500,000 of any kind of assets, right? It could be anything, you name it, right? You look at your net worth statement. But that's not the only thing that you need to be thinking about, right? There's also a, hang on a second, it's not allowing me to join. Oh, gosh, I don't know how to restart it, Shannon. I apologize. I'm gonna keep talking and see if I can just refresh this and add you on again. Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try to do it again and see if that works. Okay, so if we, we have the basic. Now, when we look at the coverage, right, how much do we actually need to have? So we need to protect ourselves. And the liability protection piece on any of these policies actually covers you, right, in the cases where you're liable for the damages. And the damages could be, pain and suffering to somebody else, causing them to lose a job, all kinds of situations, right? You can probably relate to more of it when you have the automobile policy, but there are things that could take place at your own home or your own apartment that you aren't even aware. So when there is not enough coverage, and most of the times the basic policies I feel like don't have enough, this is where we get this umbrella protection, right? And I love the word of it because the reason it's called an umbrella, and this is my own understanding of it, but it actually sits on the top of all of your policies. Yes, you have to make the configuration of how that works, right? But it adds an additional. Okay, Shannon, I'm still trying to answer you on. It brings an additional protection. Now, the umbrella policies are usually sold in $1 million increments. So you have to have baseline coverage to a certain amount. So I guess you can go as low as 100,000, but then you can also add umbrella on the top of it. So in aggregate, so if we were using an example of 500 for the auto, 500 for the home or renters, and you get an umbrella policy of 1 million. So basically on this side, you have $1.5 million if there's ever need, and you have $1.5 million on this side if there's ever an accident that's going to take place, at your home. Now, there are different types of, still trying to add you here. There are different types. So sometimes what I also noticed that you have to have, or you should have all your policies configured hopefully with one type of insurance company. Now, there are plenty of examples that work where you have homeowners with one policy, homeowners insurance with one carrier, auto with another, and then you also trying to add an umbrella. Now, what you need to do is you need to make sure, right, that all of those coverages are in sync. Because what you don't want to end up having is that give yourself a peace of mind that you've gotten additional coverage, right? But you can't there's actually a gap. That's what I'm thinking, right? So you need to make sure that all of those policies, but in general, the reason we need to have the coverage is that we never know when there could be an exposure, right? In terms of what and how somebody can get hurt. And so I'm going to try to add Shannon again. And so from the standpoint of why you want to think about something like that, you've got to protect your assets. You've got to protect yourself. But also remember, and I'm talking about really bad cases. So I'll give you an example. I have a client who came to me, and so she was the recipient of the funds from the umbrella insurance policy of a driver. It was a car accident. She was crossing the street in New York City. She was hit by a car pretty bad, and there was a lot of damage done to her knee. She was in recovery for almost a year. So the policy of the driver who caused an accident actually paid out. So the policy plus the umbrella coverage, and it's interesting that it happened to have that woman had the policy, the umbrella policy of $1 million. So that paid out to my clients the funds, to replace you know, replace. You can't replace pain and suffering, but compensate for her for inconveniences and all these things that she had to actually deal with. This is only example in the last 15 years I have where that actually played out. Now, you also have to think about that it's not only your assets or yourself that are being protected, it's your ability to earn. So sometimes when there is not enough insurance and there is an accident, you know what happens do you know what happens if the lawsuit gets filed against you? They are gonna go and garnish your wages, okay? Because if you have experience, if you have knowledge, skills, and expertise, those things can be garnished. So umbrella liability protection is the one that's going to help us with that. I'm still trying to add Shannon, and maybe we're going to just jump off for a quick second and see if I can restart it with the two, because I really wanted her to come on here and give us a quick introduction. Shannon, are you here? Okay, I'm going to jump off real quick, you guys, and hop back on, but stay tuned, okay? Thanks so much.